Okay.
Tak mute.
Hello and welcome to the UKL E-Debate Youth Cup 2021. Thank you to all the lecturers, students and supporters for being here today. My name is Natasha and I will be your chairperson and timekeeper for this session. Today's session will be adjudicated by Miss Hannah and Miss Balkis. You are going to start with the fourth round of the preliminary rounds by reading the motion. The motion for this debate is this House believes that developing nations should heavily incentivize its students to pursue STEM subjects, examples engineering, computer science in tertiary education, even at the expense of a decline in humanities courses. The members of the government side representing UNIKE LMSI are Ashraf as the Prime Minister, Sarah as the Deputy Prime Minister, Adam as the government whip. The reply speech from the government side will be given by Ashraf. The members of the opposition side representing UNIKE LMD are Nabil as leader of opposition, Anissa as the deputy leader of opposition, and Hannah as the opposition whip. The reply speech from the opposition side will be given by Anissa. Before we begin, I will briefly explain the rules. Each of the main speeches is 7 minutes long. The first and last minute of each of these speeches is known as protected time, which means that no points of information or POI may be asked by the opposing bench. The reply speeches are 4 minutes long and are entirely protected from POIs. As the timekeeper, I will mark the opening and closing of protected time with a single bang, once at 1 minute and a second time at 6 minutes. I will also indicate that the speaker time is up with a double bang. If a speaker continues for a further 15 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang, and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. The indicator for the reply speech will start as single bang at 3rd minute, double bang on 4th minute. If the speaker continues for a further 50 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. Could I also politely ask that phone be switched off for the duration of each debate? If you wish to use your phone, please mute your mic and switch off your video to respect the ongoing session. Participants, you will have a 10-minute grace period if you are disconnected. Please continue your speech during that period. We will move on to the next speaker if you fail to reconnect after the grace period. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the first speaker of the debate, the Prime Minister, to the floor to open the debate.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Wait. Okay.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. In 2010, I didn't believe at first that we could fuel a car with palm oil. That's the first thing that we need to understand, that in this world, the world is advancing every single day in terms of technology, health, computer science. So that's the status quo, right? For example, the world is evolving, including in terms of 5G technology, including with the health issue. So this is what is happening with this world. So what is dire needs from our side, right? The diaries nowadays is the element to pursue the developing nations. So it is needed for this country, for a developing country, to ensure that they can pursue with this target to raise to become a developed country. And our goal from government side today is simple, which is to ensure that this developed country could raise with other countries, and at the end of the day will become a developed country. So before I move on, this is the comparison of exclusively why with humanity courses, right? So we believe that the main reason why we exclusively compared with the humanity courses, because humanity courses are already enough to cater the needs, unlike the science, unlike STEM subject, which is really needed in the country, which is needed in the developing country. So let me define to what is developing country actually, right? So developing country is a country that is still in race to become a developed country. It means that they are in needs to become, it needs to advance in technology, they need to be advanced in the science and technology knowledge, they needs to advance to ensure that they can compete with other countries as well. And we believe that this is what it means by developing nations. So let's talk about the STEM subjects, and talk about how STEM subject versus humanity courses, right? So in STEM subjects, we could see that it's evolving every single year, that I will be telling you in my argument first. But let's take a look of why is exclusively towards the humanity courses. Is because it doesn't need to be heavily incentivized to cater the needs. And even if so, even if we need to cater these needs, but in STEM courses, for example, like engineering, we still learn the philosophy, we still learn the arts, we still learn all the knowledge of philosophy, which is good enough in the status quo to ensure that we could pursue to become a developed nation. So as a government side, let's move on to the mechanism of the government, on how we want to heavily incentivize on STEM subjects. So we want to incentivize because we want to make a more engagement towards students to pursue the study. There are three ways. First, we start during the secondary education, which means the government needs to promote the STEM education towards them and tell them how important it is to ensure that we can compete with other countries, and it's important for developing countries. For example, we are in need of engineer, we are in need of doctors, we are in need of those who are in IT, who are intelligent in IT. So this is what it needs. So we show them how the opportunities are there, and they just need to grab. Even so, we can tell them, even in STEM subject there are multiple subjects. If you think that, for example, like engineering, we have like 50 or 60 years ago, we have only mechanical engineering, we have only chemical, we have only electrical engineering. So these are the basic courses of the engineering. But after it evolves, it comes towards a more it comes towards more subjects under this engineering. For example, like mechanical, we have the mechanical, nowadays we have the mechanical design, we have the mechatronics, we have the mechanical management. This is to show that it is involved, that it is important to cater with the industry that is needed right now. So the third thing is in terms of monetary, on how the government would want the students to be helped, and how to be helped, right? So the government wants to help the students in monetary to pursue this field. It means that it give the fee deduction towards the students according to their results, even to their result. It means that even though it is highly promoted for them to pursue for these STEM subjects, but we are not neglecting the fact that they need to be successful. They need to be to the extent of they are good enough to, so that we can produce a good quality manpower. So instead of just giving up all those opportunities, but we're still monitoring them, and the governments will become check and balance on how to make sure that these students cater the industry that is needed for a um, developing country. So let's move on to the first argument for the government side, right? So I'm going to talk about two things. The first one, I'm going to talk about how the knowledge evolve every single year, and how it caters, how it can cater the industry, and how it is also compared to philosophy to cater the developing country. So STEM subjects evolve every year, right? So it's moving too fast that it's important to cater these dire needs. For example, I was an engineering student. Even when I was studying, when I was started applying for engineering, there was no IoT subjects, which is Internet of Things. But after the fourth sem, I was added with one subject, which is Internet of Things. This show how high demands it is
POI.
for the country to pursue to pursue towards the industry. Yes, before the time.
Uh, would you say that humanitarian subjects are equally as important to STEM subjects?
We are not neglecting the humanitarian subjects. We agree that it is important as well. Somehow it's not in dire needs to cater that thing, because we are already abundance of them. We believe that even in the STEM courses, you could still learn all this philosophy, and we believe it caters already the needs of the developing country. So the comparison of STEM and also the philosophy is that the STEM education evolves rapidly. Meanwhile, the philosophy is already there, like for 100 or 50 years ago. We are still using it, and it evolves in a very slow pace in comparison with the technology, which evolves every single minute, every single second. So this is important for us to cater this, because what? Because at the end of the day, to ensure a developing nations to become developed nations, you have to be enough manpower to cater the industry, and how it is important that the country that pursues towards the technology will be a better developed nations compared to other countries. And we believe that in this dire needs, it is important. So as a opposition side, you have to show us we are not we don't need stamps in the current status quo. With that, never be prouder to propose. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. Now, please welcome the first speaker of the opposition, the leader of opposition, to open the case for their side.
Okay, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on.
Sorry, your mic is mute.
Oh, sorry, sorry. I termute balik pula. Sorry. I'm very sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine all the things in the world. You can understand everything in the world, but you can't understand yourself. Also, imagine if you can tell the difference between black and white, but you can't tell the difference between all the shades of gray. In this debate, me and my team, as the opposition, would would go against the motion of putting stem cells courses over humanitarian courses in the tertiary sector. So first of all, before I start my speech, I would like to go with a few rebuttals. The government mechanism given is that he wants to promote STEM subjects. Why don't, instead of just promoting STEM subjects, why don't you just promote both humanitarian and STEM subjects? You said in your POI you are not neglecting the humanitarian subjects, but why would you just want to promote the STEM subjects instead of not promoting both humanitarian and STEM courses? So you said earlier also, we need a doctor, we need an engineer, we need all those science related jobs, but we also need CEOs. We cannot get a CEO without students who do not learn the humanitarian courses.
POI?
Sorry, I want to continue. So, first of all, I would like to give my mechanism on how we want to put humanitarian and science in the same level. So first of all, my mechanism is that, before mechanism, I will give my stance. Big Y is that humanitarian courses is also an obligation. It's as important as the is as important as STEM subjects. So first of all, let's give an example of humanitarian. So economy is a part of humanitarian subjects. Politics is also a good example of humanitarian courses. So moving on is the mechanism. How are we going to allow that these both courses are the same? We do not put STEM over humanitarian. Is that we would increase the course, the amount of studies. Like, for example, if a country is not doing well in the science, the STEM sector, we would increase the STEM subjects more. If we do not, if we put the if the country is lacking in humanitarian sectors, we will increase the the humanitarian courses. Okay, go on. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that if there's a lack in both of those factors, so you need to cater for them. So this is basically you're saying that you agree with us because we are now lack in STEM subjects and stuff like that.
But the problem is right now in the status quo, we aren't like. I mean, hold on. Okay, hold on. Before that, I would like to give our status quo. In status quo, people. Okay, can you ask your POI again? I'm a bit. I can't hear.
You're saying that we need to cater both equally, but right now we already told you that the status quo right now we need more STEM subjects. So you are agreeing with us that we need to prioritize more STEM.
I don't really understand, but never mind. I'll try to do it if I have enough time. Right now, in the status quo, people who do not opt to do humanitarian courses are also deemed unsuccessful. By doing the STEM subjects, if we're putting STEM subjects higher than humanitarian courses, we are going to create a further gap and discrimination between humanitarian and STEM subjects. I'm very sorry if I can't answer your PI. I don't really understand it. So moving on to my argument, humanitarian courses has its own benefits, and these benefits are actually very important to have in a human life. So first of all, every company has its own roots. So these roots comes from jobs ranging from human resources and CEOs. With when you take humanitarian courses, this includes socializing with others and finance and everything, being able to organize your own stuff. If you do not learn these human resource skills, then you would not be able to be as successful as a person who learns social courses, humanitarian courses. I mean, also history is also an example of humanitarian courses. If a wise man once said, George Santayana, those who cannot learn from history are doomed to repeat it. As I said, for history is a part of humanitarian courses. So if you do not, according to this man, if you do not learn history, which is a part of humanitarian courses, then you will repeat the same mistake that you did before, which is very important. Yes, please go on. One more.
We understand that you are saying that, okay, we need this kind of people, but we don't really see that where is the dire need that we really need this kind of people, because there are still people out here to cater those kind of problems.
What do you mean? There's still people. If you don't learn humanitarian courses, then there won't be these people anymore. So if you're just putting STEM over over humanitarian courses, then you won't be able to gain these people anymore. And you say it's a status quo, but in the future, developing country that is putting STEM over humanitarian courses will deteriorate. They will not learn how to properly manage a country and so on. So students will be affected by this. Also, countries, even the whole country and society can be affected by this. So those are the two things affected by putting STEM courses over humanitarian courses. They're both equally important, and that is why we as the opposition would like to oppose this motion. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for the speech. and welcome the second Speaker of the government, the Deputy Prime Minister, to continue the case for their side.
Am I audible? Okay, right?
Uh, yes.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as the second speaker of government, I'm gonna do two things. First, rebuttals, and second are the arguments from our side. So first, let's go to our rebuttals, which is when the opposition opposition said, history repeated, and if we did not learn from the history, we are not going to. We are, I'm sorry. If if we did not learn from the history we repeated again. But somehow, in these cases, if without a little risk taking and experimentation, many of the technological advancements that have occurred in the last couple of decades will not be possible. Many of these innovations were created by people who were told that their ideas will not work, and their response was, let's try it and see. This type of attitude can be encouraged with STEM learning during the K-12 years. How can you accomplish this? By allowing students to experiment and take risks during learning activities. It helps them to improve themselves in a better way, and it also help the country itself to create a future leader in which are better than before. We are not going to repeat the same thing, the same mistake. If we even if we as much as we learn the mistake itself, we have to be confident with that. Okay, I have done with my battles, and let move on to the to my arguments from our sides. Okay, when we're talking about STEM coursework, it is actually the function of itself is to challenge the students to think critically and come up with their own solutions. Why it is important? It is important because the STEM education give people to make them more employable and ready to meet the current working environment. Why I'm saying like that? It is because in STEM itself, we learn about critical thinking and innovation, which the focus itself on logical true processes and problem solving, which allows students to develop mental habits that will help them succeed in
Yeah,
any fields. So what? No, thank you. For humanity courses, yes, we bite the bullet, but even though this subject is the STEM subject is not as advanced the humanity courses, but somehow it is enough to make us to be a human being. What I'm saying there is, okay, let's put this in a situation where in engineering students, those what some of the things that we are going to learn in the engineering course is such as ergonomy and humans factor that teach us for the importance of humans comfort, and especially when it comes in working, and it is can be contributed by have learning in STEM courses. Okay. Okay, when during STEM education activities, students learn in a safe environment that allows them to fall and try again. STEM education also stresses the value of failure as a learning exercise, which will enable students to embrace mistake as part of the learning process. Just I've said in the rebuttal, we are not going to repeat history. By doing so, this allows the students to build confidence and resilience, which will enable them to keep going when even when the going get rough. They will not give up easily. After all, failure is part of a process that ultimately leads to success, and we believe in that. Okay, any POI?
Yes. Are you saying that humanity subjects, they don't have to think critically? People taking humanity subjects, I mean.
It's not something like that. When humanity courses also have some part of them, they are going to critical thinking, but somehow it is not as critical as the STEM courses, because humanity courses, they will be more focused on how about the living around us, but in it, what kind of food it is, it is more focused on the surrounding, which are not quite help the environment, the surrounding. I'm saying that because it is not same as the STEM education. Why? Because STEM education can be taught to students of all ability levels, and students of varying levels of ability can work together in teams to find solutions to problems, record data, or write reports, or give presentation. The end result is students who understand how to collaborate with others and thrive in team-oriented environment much better than humanity courses. That's all. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for their remarks and welcome the second speaker of the opposition, the deputy leader of opposition, to continue the debate for their side.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, after hearing the government speech today, all I heard was why STEM subjects are more important than humanity subjects. Basically, they're saying humanity subjects are not important at all. That's what I heard. They're just saying STEM subjects should be implemented because of this, because of that, this, that. But they never mentioned anything about humanity subjects until me and my LO asked and mentioned about the humanity subjects. So that is why I believe that they believe that humanity subjects are not equally as important as STEM subjects. So when the DPM said something about create future leaders. Okay, you mentioned leaders. What do leaders learn in university? How to lead people, how to manage people, how to take care of a country, and these subjects are consist of business, economy. So these are humanity subjects. So when you say you want to create future leaders, are these not leaders who are taking humanity subjects?
POI?
When they said something, no, thank you. When they said something about challenge students to think critically, and I asked them, do they think that humanity subjects are not? Do they believe that humanity subjects do not have to think critically? That's why I said that they believe that humanity subjects are not as important as STEM subjects. Humanity subjects are equally as important as STEM subjects. That is why we question why the need to compare one is more important than the other. Both are equally as important. Both need to be increased or decreased depending on the nation. Like my LO has said, if that country lacks of businessmen, we increase businessmen. If that country lacks of doctors, we increase doctors. That's how
POI?
it's more fair. No, thank you. So do you okay? You said that humanity subjects do not have to think critically. Okay, talking since we just talked about politicians in the previous debate, how can politicians learn to solve a nation's problem if they don't have experience in learning economy? Do you think that's an easy thing? Do you think they don't have to think critically? It's so hard. So you can't just say it's not as hard as STEM subjects. STEM subjects are as important. So moving on to my first argument. I'm gonna emphasize more on what my leader of opposition has said. Core of a company. So wherever we go, like there is still gonna be business. There's still gonna be something related to humanity subjects. So if you have like 10 engineers, but none of them have like knowledge or skills of anything related to business or economy or anything related to humanity subjects, they'll end up, these 10 engineers will end up working in a big company. And who do you think will handle this big company? A CEO. And what do you think a CEO has learned in their university back then?
Your
They have an
IMM,
MBA. Yes, pure I.
I give you a simple comparison, right? To make a car, you need one businessman but 10 engineers. So which one do you think that we need more to ensure that the car exists at the first place?
Yes, that's why I said these two are equally as important. We need engineers, we need businessmen. They are both important. So moving on. At the end of the day, these 10 engineers, if they do not have the subjects, the humanity subjects, they can start their own business. Don't you think that's more profitable if these engineers can have both engineer subjects and humanity subjects to start their own business? Like some doctors who start their own hospitals, private hospitals. Don't you think that's more profitable? So these CEOs have MBAs, and this MBA is one of the humanities subjects. So, like, okay, you said like my leader of opposition said something about black and white, right? STEM subjects focus on practical stuff, what's right and what's wrong. So this is me emphasizing on why humanity subjects are important. Humanity subjects, they don't really tell you, okay, if you do this, it's right, it's the right thing. If you do that, it's the wrong thing. They guide you. So it actually trains your mind to think by yourself on how to solve decisions. Decisions
UI.
that CEO, no thank you, decisions that CEO makes to, that's why they train themselves, That's why they train these students to think on their own, to solve nation problems, to solve company problems. So moving on to my second argument. When I heard all of their speech, I feel discriminated as a business management student, sorry. I feel discriminated. Why is there the need to specify what needs to be increased and decreased? Why can't we just focus on both at the same time? So, like I say, are you saying that humanity subjects aren't as important as STEM subjects? So, okay, remember in high school, a lot of Asian households tend to like brainwash their kids saying, okay, if you're in high school, take science stream subjects, don't take art stream subjects, because that is so you're not gonna get a job, you're not gonna get a good job. That's how Asian household always like brainwash their kids. And that's why a lot of Asians nowadays, a lot of Asians, a lot of people nowadays
UI.
tend to believe that um that humanity subjects will not lead to a good job. If you were to go with a STEM subject, you are going to end up with a good job. But that is so stereotyping, man. Okay. So moving on to my third argument. So, okay, 5 centuries ago, 500 years ago, we have business. People learn how to do business, people learn how to sell things because it's a good way to make a living out of it. And I believe that 5 centuries later, we're still going to have business. We're still going to have economy. So we still need to learn these kind of things. And I get that technology is, no, I get that technology is rapidly advancing and rapidly changing. And that's why, yes, we need STEM subjects. I am no way telling you that STEM subjects are not important. But 5 centuries later, we still are going to have business. So in the future, why don't you think that it's better for engineers, for these STEM students, to have both humanity subjects and humanity subjects and skills, and both STEM subjects and skills that can make themselves more skillful in the future? Don't you think that's better? Don't you think that's more preferable? So that is why we believe that humanity subjects and STEM subjects are equally important, but it's just a matter of how important to this sector, how important to that sector. Let's talk about COVID now. A lot of ex-doctors, ex-engineers, they have lost their jobs due to COVID, and that's really sad. And they opt to business to make a living out of it. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, business is always going to be there. So they can rely on business to make a living, to feed their families. Because even though, so yeah. So with that being said, I have never been proud to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Now let us welcome the government whip to summarize the debate for the government side.
Hello, y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. All right. I'll start my debate in three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, before I start my debate for today, let me just tell you something. We from the government side, we definitely agree with the opposition side. Yes, we definitely need human resources. Human resources are important. Yes, we definitely need those. But you must show us what the opposition side failed to show us today is what is the dire need that we need to prioritize one over another. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we don't need 10 CEO to run a company, but we definitely need 10 engineers to build a car. So this is where, so before I start my debate, I would like to divide my room into two. First, I would like to stand up for the government side, which is basically the better side on this debate. And second, I will put the nails to the coffin on the opposition side. All right, so let's move on to the government. Let's move on to the opposition side. Let's move on to the first speaker. He stated that why does not we promote both STEM and humanitarian stuff and stuff like that. Okay, so again, we from the government side, we never denied that human resources are important. What we are telling you today is that the STEM, the problem with STEM is that we don't have enough people to cater for the demands. We don't have enough people to cater for the demands and stuff like that. The people that are in need in the industry itself. We have lack of people in the industry itself. We already stated by my first speaker the lack of human power, the lack of people in the industry itself. While if you look at the human resources, there will still be people inside the human resources itself. We still have politicians. We still have a lot of people and so on. Okay, and then again, he also stated that why not cater for both equally? Yes, we would do that. We definitely would do that 100% if the problems that exist in the STEM is resolved. There will be, we have no problems against humanitarian resources and stuff like that. The problem is right now we really need engineers, we really need doctors, because at the end of the day, these are the people that we that need to cater for the issues and the problems that have occurred in our country. And then also he also talked about how it will furthermore create gaps and discrimination, which he doesn't really elaborate, and I don't really understand how can these kind of things gaps in discrimination. And at the end of the day, and also he also points out about by not learning in human resources and stuff like that, we won't socialize for others and stuff like that, and people won't learn about history. All right, let me just read the motion again. Okay, we are talking right now about tertiary education, which is university and stuff like that. This kind of human resources we already done in our high school. We already done it even kids learn it age 10 and above. We learn it in school itself. So we don't really need we don't really understand that the dire need that the opposition side trying to show us, that we need to at the end of the day, at age 19 in college, you need to pursue and humanitarian courses, because we believe that right now we really need people in the STEM industry. All right, so at the end of the day, go on.
So are you trying to say that universities should just ban humanity courses?
We never say that. So that's the delusional part of the opposition side. They keep trying to force us to say that humanitarian resources are not important. It is important. It is same as important as the STEM right now. So what we are saying right now is that we need to prioritize STEM. It is because we don't have enough people to cater the demands that people are making right now. We need more doctors. We need more engineers. We need more people to do experiments. We need more people to save people's lives. We need doctors and stuff like that. This is why we need to prioritize STEM over humanitarian resources. We never even say that one is more important than another. We just need to prioritize one over another, because it is the dire need that we need to show to you, that you failed to show to us. What is the dire need that you need to prioritize human resources? And at the end of the day, the first speaker failed to show to us what is the dire need for us to prioritize one over another, or basically make both of them equally. That is what the government opposition side failed to show to us. All right, so let's move on to the second speaker, which she has a lot to say. She also said that again, trying to blame us, saying that humanitarian resources are not important, which I already told you that we don't have enough people to cater it. And then she also stated that politicians can't be who they are because they're not learning human resources and stuff like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you that high school exists, and let me also remind you secondary school exists, and it's kind of place teach you from when you are a child until you're big enough, until you're an adult, and you know how to make decisions, until you know black and white, but what kind of things are bad and good. So this kind of place exists. You don't really need to go to university to understand what is good and what is bad. All right. So and then again, the second speaker also failed to show us what is the dire need that we need to basically prioritize one over another, or basically make them on the same level. While we from the government side, we tried to show you the dire need of it. All right. So for the first speaker from the government side, we already told you that people they need to be researchers. There need to be a lot of people to cater for this STEM subject, because okay, the first speaker told you that these subjects increase daily and daily. From from one source it could become five at the end of the day, and maybe hundreds of years after this, it will also increase. So the needs for us for having a students in the STEM education itself is increasing daily, and the current status quo right now, it is not enough. And in the future, definitely, if we don't do these kind of things, we won't at the end of the day achieve our aim today, which is being a developed country. So this is what we're trying to achieve, basically pursuing STEM to make our country more developed at the end of the day, which the opposition side never tell us how humanitarian resources could develop a country at the end of the day. All right, so let's move on to the second speaker from our side. We already told you that there's resources to be there's resources for us to do the research, and we also told you that how this kind of critical thinkings and how this kind of things that make us human, that make us think, could also happen in STEM itself, on how decision making, those kind of things, the confidence, the learning. And yes, we bite the bullet again. We are saying that yes, it may not be as good as humanitarian resources, but at least it is enough for us to be human, and it is enough for us to know what is black and what is white. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you that we don't need to know every shades of color, as just like the first speaker stated. We don't need to know that. What we need to do is what is good and what is bad. All right. So at the end of the day, we from the opposition side, we from the government side, we already proved to you that what is the dire need for us to prioritize STEM over humanitarian resources, for us to achieve our aim today, to make our country a more developed one, which the opposition side never said, never stated, never proved to us what is the dire need, and they failed to win this debate for today. All right, and by that, me as a speaker today, I already put the nail to the coffin for the opposition side, and by that, I will never be more proud to propose. And I rest my case here. Thank you.
Thank you, Government Whip. Please welcome the Opposition Whip to sum up for the opposition team.
Can I have a few seconds to just breathe, I guess? So sleepy like this time. Okay, I think I can start now. I'm so sorry. I'm at I'm so sorry. I am actually at a family for the office thingy, so I'm not at home. Okay, anyway, let's start this. So, hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hannah, and I am a programmer. Why? Because I learned computer science when I was 12. I learned how to use Word and few things in computer, and here I am, a programmer. See, that's not how the world works. Just because you think you've learned some of the humanitarian subjects, like subjects like you would say in high school, it doesn't mean that it's enough. You can't say that I've learned math when I was 12. It will be enough for me to, for example, if I'm a humanitarian course of life, if I'm doing arts, you can't say the math that I've learned when I was 12 would be enough for me to do like architecture thing. I would still need to learn how to count things properly, not just calculate number 1 until 10. I will need to learn how to use this formula, that formula, how to count this area, how to count this volume. It's not as easy as what the government has made that it seems.
POI?
POI, ma'am.
Excuse me, no. Sorry. Okay. So back here. Okay. So both of the government, all of the government side were talking about how they are in dire needs. Their need is we are the opposition side have like, we will fail to show. Let me say one, not say two words. Hotel contract. You've known about that strike, right? The doctors one. You want to produce more doctors when even you can't even take care of the current doctors. Make it make sense. Where's the dire needs? And this dire needs is when how do I say? Yes, in a status quo we do need more, but we can't do it. We are a developing country, just like you said, and you kept saying that we are not in dire needs. That's why the opposition side said in the first place the mechanism is to make sure that we give to those who needs. That's it. To the courses that needs. Like there's a statistic. There's a like
Right.
correct. It means that, for example, STEM we have engineering, we have computer science. Just because we need more engineering doesn't mean we have to give more, like all the incentives to the whole STEM. We can just give to the engineering one and then give to those from material. That's the thing. You guys kept saying we don't understand. It's sad to see that you cannot understand the dire need when we talk about how both should be prioritized. I know you cannot prioritize two things at once, just like how you cannot have two wives at once. I know that. But that's why we have numbers. That's why we have statistics. And I'm pretty sure you don't understand that either, because you want us to, now since we are not in dire needs, we don't need more people who learn in human resources and all. That's not. So that's why I think you can't really do the statistic correctly. So also the opposition have said, government kept saying that
You
our
alright?
mechanism was yes, you may.
All right. So you're saying
Yes.
that it's not as easy as I said. Okay. So are you saying that all humans should go to human resources for us to become a basic human being? And then second, you're saying that I don't really understand that how can pursuing human resources could make us a developed country?
That's not what I said. I just said that you don't understand the first mechanism we said when we said we want like part of the STEM. For example, if you need engineering, just engineering, not the whole STEM, not the whole gang. Understand? The same way where we said about the material. For example, if we need in needs of arts, or the statistics show that we need in psychology, which is the soft sciences, then we would give the incentive to them. Get it? It's not about I'm asking you to learn human resources for you to be a human. That was just an example that you couldn't understand, I suppose. And then what the government kept talking about the benefits, STEM. Yes, we understand, and we are truly with you in that. Like you said, both are equally, both are important, both are what's not. But you did downgrade the humanitarian courses when you talk about benefits, and you said STEM needs, those who in STEM needs to think about it critically, which my second with the second speaker for opposition has said that it's not okay, it's discriminating when you say that, and to me it's downgrading. Why are you downgrading like other people? You are these are the things that make the you know what they call, like, you know, the stereotype where people say that you have to become doctor, you have to do this STEM for you to be successful. That is not fair. I know you don't mean to, that's what you said, and you keep saying that we are twisting, but guess what? You bite your own bullet again, just like you said to us. Downgrading, discriminating, are these the things that we want to keep? We want to like keep up, like we want to develop the country, and we want to be discriminate people and downgrade our people, our own people, those who we should have helped. Why are you keep saying STEM is in dire needs? No. If you said one thing, engineering is in dire need, I would understand. But the whole STEM at once, no. Okay, when you talk about we only need one businessman, do you know that even those who are learning like engineering, for example, like we have technopreneurship. Technopreneurship, it comes from technology and entrepreneurship. Even nowadays, we don't take what I call it, like entrepreneurs with no technology, and technology, then technologies without entrepreneur, which means you need both. It's not okay for you to choose one just because you think that it's better that way. It's like you choose a whole gang, the whole STEM. It's not fair. You need to choose one. If you want to make your choice, make sure it's one, not the whole gang. Understand? With that being said, I'm pretty sure opposition deserves to win, because like, can you see, government keeps talking about how STEM is good, but they could not see how bad they are actually making those who taking humanitarian causes are. They keep saying it's okay, it's good, it's same, equal, but it's not. You will be creating this bigger gap in our society. Do you understand that? And you will make those who want to pursue the humanitarian causes to have, I need to be a doctor or else I'm nobody. I need to be an engineer or else I'm nobody. Because it's a dire needs. Everyone needs to be a doctor now because we need more doctor. Is that logic? With that, I agree to disagree. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speakers for all their speeches. Now let's give the government and opposition side 5 minutes to prepare for the reply speech. Please be aware that the reply speech will be 4 minutes and no POI is allowed. Let us welcome the representative from the opposition side for the reply speech.
Hi, give me a second. Okay, starting my last speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard both sides of the motion today. And I think it's safe for me to say that the government side only cares about the progression and the advancement of STEM students. They don't really like focus that much on humanity subjects and humanity students. They only talked about it and mention it when it's being asked or when it's being mentioned by the previous speaker. So that shows how much you actually like care on the humanity subjects. So when one of the opposition side said something about high school exists, so there's you already learn it in high school, and I asked him if so do you think that university should ban humanities subjects? I don't know about you, but when I heard him say high school exists, you already learned that in high school, but I never really learned anything like politically related or learned the political science back in high school. Um, and when he said that high school exists, you're saying like, oh, you know what? It's just business. It's just economy. So you've learned that back in high school. So you don't really need to learn it in university. So that was why I asked, do you think that universities should ban humanities subjects? And speaking about that, do you not learn science in primary school? Do you not learn science in secondary school in SPM? The science that you learn the basis of, that now you learn engineering, doctors, that's the basics of it, science. Um, if this debate was to only focus on STEM subjects, then I would agree with where they're coming from. But if it was to the expense of humanity subjects, then that is where the problem is, ladies and gentlemen. So that is why the opposition side, cares about both parties and believe that both are equally as important, but it depends to the nation. If the nation lacks engineers, then we'll increase engineers. If the nation lacks doctors, we'll increase doctors. But if the nation lacks politicians, or lacks businessmen, students, I mean all of, so we increase them as well. So what my problem is, when the deputy prime minister said that not humanity subjects are not as critical as STEM subjects, that's my problem with that. You see, it is critical because the company that you will work with in the future, the company that engineers will work in the future, they'll work under people who have learned CEOs, CEOs who have taken MBA, who have taken most of it consists of humanity subjects, which relates to ours three main arguments, which is the core of a company, discriminate, and humanity causes. Um, so wherever you go, humanity causes humanity subjects are still going to be the core of a company, whether or not you're taking engineer, doctor. So that's why it is a smart move, especially in this day and age, for you to learn this technical stuff. No one is stopping you from from being an engineer. No one is stopping you from being a doctor. But it's a smart move for you to be able to learn the basics or have knowledge of anything related to business, anything related to humanity subjects. Economy, do you not read the news? That's economy. So when you have both knowledge, and that's why I emphasize these two subjects are equally as important. It's just a matter of it's important in this sector, it's important in that. So when you have these two skills, these two knowledge, you are more skillful, you are more likely to go far in life, ladies and gentlemen. So it's not a matter of focusing on one, focusing on two. So that is why I feel so discriminated when I heard the fact that they only focus on STEM subjects but failed to emphasize the importance of humanity subjects as well, but they claim that it's also important. So with that being said, I have never been prouder to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now let us welcome the last speaker for today's debate to give the reply speech for the government side.
You am I audible?
Yes.
Starting my speech in three, two, one. My darling Anissa, Hannah, and also Nabil, to become a developed country, to be all developed country are cultured, but not all cultured country are developed. That's the thing that you need to take in the first hand. So let's talk about before I go on to the weighing situation or how we should decide to this debate. Let's go on to the basic stances from the both side, right? So the government side, we believe that this is the dire needs needed by the developing country to pursue for STEM subjects to heavily incentivize students to pursue STEM subjects because these are subjects are needed in industry and demands in highly demands. So we believe from the government side we want to cater this problem, we want to fulfill this problem and to become a developed country. That's the goal of our the goal of the government side. Whereas from the opposition side, they are a bit confused with the terms of why, first, with the terms of STEM subjects and also humanitarian courses, because they believe this debate is all about STEM subjects against humanitarian courses. What they miss is that what we really need today, we don't, we from the early of my speech until the end of the speech of my third speaker, we didn't say that it's not important to have a humanitarian courses. We didn't say that it's not important for to have this kind of courses. Somehow, due to demands that we need to cater with, it is important for us to heavily incentivize these subjects at the first hand. For example, right, I told you how even you are taking the STEM subjects, you still learn the humanitarian courses. For example, you have you still learn, which is good enough to cater the needs of the nation at the developing nations at the moment. So let's move on. My weighing situation will be three things. The first one is which subjects are needed most in tertiary education in desire needs. The second one, which side needs to be heavily incentivized, and third, why we should win these debates. So let's first go to the weighing situation where we look at the beneficiary of the towards the both side of the subjects, right? So let's go first to the STEM subjects. STEM subjects are heavily developed. It means that they are moving fast forward. The knowledge itself evolves every single second. So this is what I told you in my speech, which is it is important for you to learn something, to cater with this so that you can cater with the industry. It means that if you are far away behind like 10 years because you don't want to highly incentivize towards this education, it means that you only learn the past 10 years subjects. So in order for you to pursue, it is important for you to pursue with the subject itself. And we believe philosophy is there for 200 and 300 years ago. It's still there, is there, and we still use it until day. So it's still relevant. So we are not debating on philosophy subjects are better than STEM subject. We believe that both are good, but somehow to cater the industry needs, we need to highly incentivize STEM subjects. Second argument is all about the humanitarian subjects that are already basic. It means that in secondary education, in primary education, we already learn how these humanitarian courses, because we believe that it caters the industry. That's the reason why the government thought it at the first place. So when Hannah came out with a example saying that she was a programmer, it means that there's a need of a programmer. That's why she becomes a programmer and not a businesswoman. So let's move on to why we should win this debate, because we show you the beneficiary towards the developing nations and how it caters the problem. Whereas from the other side, they fail to show us the burden that we gave them, which is to improve that STEM courses are not needed in dire needs of developing country, and we believe that we will win this motion. With that, I never been prouder to propose. Thank you. Viva la MSI.
Thank you for the reply speech. With that, the debate for this round has ended. Please be informed that this is a silent round, thus no result will be announced now. The adjudicators may move to your respective room. Participants, you may move to the main room for further instruction. Thank you to everyone for joining the session.
Alright, thank you, Tasha. It's okay. We'll